I was recently sitting down for a consultation with one of my clients, and he asked me a question that I'm going to answer here. And I've been in the space for 17 plus years, the health space, considered a world-renowned metabolic health fat loss expert. I've been obese and I've lost 80 pounds of fat, went from being physically obese to being physically fit. And he asked me the question, out of your 17 years of experience working with thousands of people all across the world, what is something you would share on fat loss that would eliminate all of the confusion and just help somebody achieve metabolic health? And that's why I wanted to record this video as I'm driving here in Miami. So the first thing is this. So this is a valuable lesson I learned that's going to save you so much time because I made so many mistakes here. Calories are not that important. It's not that calories don't matter. It's that there are other things when it comes to fat loss that are more important, and that's hormones and inflammation. For so many years, I kept just cutting my calories, exercising more. And the tricky thing about that is that it works is short term. And it kind of seduces you to thinking, I just need to cut my calories more. And you probably have done that. And what ended up happening is that the weight stalled, and then you have to gain the weight comes back on, and then you just think I need to cut the calories more. But you can only cut the calories so far until your metabolism becomes destroyed. And we've seen that time after time, study after study. So I learned that cutting calories or just focusing on calories in versus calories out, it fails 99.99% of the time. Instead, we want to focus on the hormonal response from the calories, right? It's not about the quantity of those calories, it's about the quality. When we eat, for example, 800 calories from processed food versus 800 calories from steak and eggs, for example, same total amount of calories, completely different hormonal response. The person eating 800 calories of the processed food will have energy fluctuations, hormone issues, and they'll be in a fat storage state because that food really spikes up the fat storage hormone, insulin. Versus the 800 calories from steak and eggs, they're going to have healthier hormones, better energy levels, less of a glucose and insulin spike, meaning more fat loss. So it's so important to understand this because I used to think we lose weight. I need to lose weight and then get healthy. I need to lose weight and get healthy. But it's actually the complete opposite. We get healthy to lose weight. And the cool thing about doing this the right way, you lose the weight as a side effect. It stays off. You don't rebound and yo-yo diet. And you don't have to count a single calorie. You don't have to measure your damn food. I've been there. And you don't have to rely on willpower. It actually becomes really simple. That's the first lesson. The second thing I shared that I think is valuable for you is that don't underestimate the power of walking. I'm all for exercise and strength training and all that's great. But walking, I believe, is the king and queen and everything in between when it comes to fat loss, especially when you walk at the right times and you get a certain amount of steps. And let me explain this. When we eat food, we take that food and we convert it into sugar. This is for every food that we eat, protein, carbs, and fat, processed, whole foods, it doesn't matter. What happens next is we get this rise in our blood sugar levels. It's called postprandial glucose. That's the scientific term, but you don't have to know that. Just think of it as a sugar spike. The higher that sugar spike, the more of the hormone insulin, that fat storage hormone insulin, is produced to clear that out of the bloodstream to go into your cells, because your body does not like it when there's excess glucose in the bloodstream. So insulin is called to shuttle that out into the cells. The more that happens, the higher rate that happens, the longer you store fat. So if we could block that response and have maybe a small glucose response, that means we have a less of an insulin response, which means we start to burn more fat faster. And the best way to do that, I just did it after a big meal right now, is to go for a walk. I mean, it could be as short as 10 minutes. Optimally, more optimal times are 20 to 30 minutes. But when you go for a walk after a meal, even if it's a high carbohydrate, not healthy meal, by the way, ideally it should be healthy, but even if it's an unhealthy meal, you're still going to benefit because it blocks that blood sugar spike. Some studies show up to 30 to 40%. It blocks it, and all of a sudden, less insulin is produced, and you go into a fat burning state much faster. Now, that's one way to walk after a meal, and you could time it with your biggest meal of the day. Ideally, you could do it after all your meals. The second thing here with the walking is to just get 10,000 steps a day. We hear people talk about 10,000 steps a day, 10,000 steps a day, and there's some myths and over-exaggerations with that, but it really is true. When you could get 10K steps a day, you're going to be able, because when you walk, you recruit your muscle fibers in your legs, and it helps you become more insulin sensitive. It's really so underrated. So I do recommend walking as the second thing here. I wish I would have started doing that in the beginning. And walking is one of the things I do to stay lean year round. My body fat percentage nowadays, as a 40-year-old man, 40 years young man, I should say, is about 12 to 14%. And I stay lean. I have visible abs because I walk. I get 10,000 steps a day, and yeah, more could be better as well. So that's the second thing. The third thing that I wish I knew, especially when I started working with clients on fat loss, is sleep. And sleep is not really sexy to talk about. It's a boring thing. You're unconscious. But I learned that your fat-burning hormones, most of them are activated during deep sleep. And I'll give you an example. In my early days as a personal trainer, I had a client. His name was Sandy. And Sandy was 90 pounds overweight. He had high blood pressure, metabolic syndrome. He had a wife and a kid, and he worked a corporate job, and he was using a sleep apnea machine each night. And he thought in order to burn fat, he needed to exercise more, count his calories, cut his calories. So he actually was in the habit of waking up early, meaning sacrificing about an hour and a half of sleep to go to the gym. He thought he was doing something good. You might be doing that now. You think you're doing something. I'm so disciplined. I'm going to spend $150 on this gym membership. I'm going to wake up early, sacrifice sleep, and I'm so disciplined. And you applaud yourself, and I applaud you for your discipline. Don't get me wrong. But the man was not losing weight. He was not energized. And what I told him to do, and this is something I hope you do if this is your situation here, I said, look, don't exercise right now. Like that hour and a half of sleep, I want you to stay in bed and get that sleep, because you're going to actually get more of your fat burning benefits getting that extra hour in sleep versus sacrificing it to go exercise. Exercise is great for brain health and longevity. Exercise is a poor way to lose weight. It's not how you burn fat. You burn fat while you sleep. So I wish I would have known that in the beginning. And I fixed this. I told him to do that. And within a month, he lost 30 pounds. Within a few months, he lost the 90 pounds. Get this, he lost so much weight that he got out of it. He stopped using his sleep apnea machine, right? So that's the third lesson here. Don't underestimate the value of sleep. Make sure you're getting sleep. And yeah, there's different ways to track sleep. When we talk about fat loss, it's really what's called deep sleep that you're looking to get. And that's, you want to get about 90 minutes per night of deep sleep. I track mine with a ring called the Oura ring, which I'm wearing here, but you can track it with the Apple Watch, Fitbit. There's many different ways to track it. Aim to get 90 minutes. And let's say your deep sleep, like this Sandy in his scenario, it was very low. It was around 30 minutes. We were able to increase his deep sleep by making his bedroom colder. The studies show 63 to around 67 degrees Fahrenheit is where you get into that deep restorative fat burning sleep. So I told him, hey, adjust that thermostat to 63. His wife argued about that because it was too cold, so they compromised at 67, but he ended up getting results at that. And then we made the bedroom really really dark, So he didn't have the ability to put blackout curtains, although that would be ideal. But what he did is he wore a sleep mask, and he was able to get more deep sleep just with a sleep mask. So that's how you bump up your deep sleep. I would recommend you track that. The next thing here, which is really valuable because this is going to apply to anything in your life, when you start to make these changes, be prepared that there are going to be people maybe in your household, definitely in your environment, that don't really like the changes. I've learned that when you change, you become a threat to people in your life who do not change. It holds a mirror to what they're not changing. It reminds me of the old crabs in a bucket story, where this is a true story. You could put 30 crabs in a bucket, leave those 30 crabs in this bucket without a lid overnight, come back the next morning, look inside, and there's still 30 crabs in your bucket. And you would think, are these crabs stupid? Just simply crawl out and break out for freedom. But here's the thing, they do try to climb out, at least a few of them do, and the other crabs see them and they drag them back down, right? We have crabs in our life. When we start to make changes, they drag us back down. And it's not because they want you to be unhealthy or unhappy. Again, it's because it holds a mirror to what they're not doing. So finding community, finding somebody to do this with you is really, really important. You know, I have a brand new book coming out called Metabolic Freedom. It's out May 13th. And if you're watching this after the fact, you could get it. And if you're not, you could pre-order it if it's before the release. But the book talks about the value of community and how there's a 30-day plan in the book. And I recommend you do it with a friend, do it with somebody who's on pace, an accountability partner. Bob Proctor taught me that accountability is the glue that ties your goals to your results. I shared this with you, this last tip, because be prepared. When you have when you're making changes, you're going to have people who don't like it. They're used to the old version of you. Well, you're too good for us to go out and party and drink and eat the pizza or whatever the things you were doing. And you want to have people in your life that support you. I call them chargers versus drainers. And it may suck. You know, you're changing your food. It may suck. You're having people make comments. You might be sore from a workout. But my formula for success, and I hope you adopt this right now, is suck, cess. You embrace the suck. You just keep going forward. Know that I support you. I know you can do this. I know how incredible the human body is. I'm somebody who was overweight and obese for 20 plus years. I lost all the weight giving you these tips here 17 plus years ago. I've kept it off. It works so well. And I hope you take my 17 years worth of experience and research. I spent tens of thousands of hours researching this. I speak on stages all across the world. And I gave you what I believe are the top things you need to do to lose weight and feel good and be healthy. Now, if you want to plan and have this all mapped out for you, then I encourage you to go to metabolicfreedombook.com and order the book. There's also some free bonuses if you go to that as well. Share this episode, this lesson with a friend, comment down below, share it with somebody you know who's struggling with their weight loss. I know that the body was built to heal itself. God built your body to be so incredible. You are a masterpiece because you're a piece of the master. And I hope you take this and run with it. God bless.
Wednesday morning, you'll do the 12-hour fast. Well, you'll go from 6 p.m. Tuesday night. You'll break that fast Wednesday at 6 a.m. You'll have another meal at, let's say, noon, another meal at 6 p.m. You'll have 3 meals on that day. You'll do the same thing on Thursday and Friday. That'll be 12-hour fast, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. When you're done eating